The following program is suitable for viewing by children under the supervision of adults. Parental discretion is advised.
News headlines brought to you by...
With as little as $20,000, you can start investing in real estate. JMMB Optimum Capital Real Estate Unit Trust Fund is an ideal mix of real estate stocks.
In primetime news this evening, AI forces CXC to make big changes to school-based assessments.
SLB reveals close to 50% of borrowers behind on payments.
And students' body found after tragedy at a beach in St. Thomas. Good evening and welcome to primetime news. A very special welcome to our viewers on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands and online at onespotmedia.com. I'm Anthony Loeb.
And I'm Janella Precious, and still moping after England's loss is Dwayne Anderson, and he's here to tell us what's coming up in business news.
I probably won't get over that loss until Sunday, Janella. Well, you know, it's been 9 months since Hurricane Melissa, and many businesses in Western Jamaica, small businesses, they've not yet recovered from the devastation. One lawmaker is this evening calling for more funding to be put into those communities to assist them in their recovery. I'll tell you all about that later in the business news.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. And Jermaine Brown is here to give us a preview of what's coming up in sports. Jermaine.
Well, thank you, Anthony. Well, a few Jamaican victories at an international athletics meeting in Switzerland. We'll tell you more about that and others a bit later on.
There's also sports commentary in this newscast, but before the break, the feedback question.
And this evening we are asking, CXC announced the phasing out of traditional SBAs for subjects like math, English, and principles of business amid growing concerns over the impact of AI on exam integrity. What are your thoughts?
You can share comments online, facebook.com/television Jamaica, and post on X at TVJ News Center.
Please stay with us. Primetime News returns after this break. Welcome back to Primetime News.
And a special welcome once again to our viewers on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands and online at onespotmedia.com.
First up this evening, the Caribbean Examination Council, CXC, is making sweeping changes to school-based assessments, citing growing concerns over the impact of artificial intelligence on exam integrity.
Beginning in 2027, traditional SBAs will be phased out for most non-practical CSEC and CAPE subjects, and these include mathematics, English, and principles of business.
Now, CXC says students will instead complete an alternative assessment under examination conditions with topics issued a month in advance, extra time to complete the paper, and permission to use reference notes.
Now, practical subjects such as agriculture, visual arts, and music will retain SBAs with stronger moderation measures. CXC says the reforms are designed to protect the credibility of its qualifications and not discourage the use of AI in learning.
Now, to other news now, a near 50% delinquency rate among student loan borrowers is raising questions about whether Jamaica's education financing system is becoming too difficult for graduates to sustain.
The issue came under scrutiny at Thursday's meeting of Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee. Sandy Williams reports.
The Students' Loan Bureau said as of March 2026, almost half of its borrowers were behind on repayments. Executive Director of the Student Loan Bureau, Nikisha Walsh, told the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, PAAC, that the institution's delinquency rate currently stands at 48.22%. But lawmakers questioned whether the cost of borrowing itself may be contributing to the problem.
If you have, as Chair said, a prohibitive structure where it is difficult for persons who want to pay and be up to date with their loans, you're going to collect a lot from those who can afford to, but then you're going to push many reluctantly into the delinquency pool.
Ms. Walsh says borrowers have cited several reasons for falling behind, including unstable income from self-employment, competing financial obligations, and underemployment after graduation. She says the Bureau is hoping technology and a more hands-on approach will help reverse the trend.
We have rectified that since by launching the online portal. So for students, especially for those who migrate, they have the ability now to access their portal wherever they are and make payments on their account. So I'm saying in 26, 27, we're hoping to see a decline in the delinquency rate.
But some committee members believe the issue goes beyond payment convenience. PAAC member Michael Phillips argued that many students, particularly those from rural Jamaica, need more support before they even reach the repayment stage. Mr. Phillips also questioned whether the interest rate structure is realistic for graduates struggling to establish themselves.
The interest rate is basically like commercial. You can buy a car for a lesser interest rate.
Ms. Walsh acknowledged the concerns, saying the Bureau is already adjusting its approach and reviewing its policies.
We understand the economic challenges, and we understand that there are persons who may be caught in that cycle, and we don't want to take that approach anymore. So we're looking at going in terms of in the communities. We're having community fairs now. We are now going to partner with other external entities to get into the communities and the spaces for persons to understand the benefit of SLB.
There are questions too about what happens when graduates leave Jamaica without repaying. In response, Financial Secretary at the Ministry of Finance, Darlene Marson, stressed that the program's sustainability depends on borrowers fulfilling their obligations.
We also probably need to be looking to put something in place to say if you take a certain thing from SLB or certain other things that you need to give back to this country for a certain period.
She suggested measures to ensure greater accountability, noting that when loans are not repaid, the burden ultimately falls on taxpayers. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
As the country continues to grapple with teacher migration, there is a call for teachers' colleges to do more to attract international students. The issue was raised at the Higher Education Conference at the Princess Hotel in Hanover. Kimberly Petty reports.
As the new school year approaches, an old problem prevails. Administrators are rushing to fill several vacant teaching positions as educators continue to leave the island in droves for opportunities overseas. Last year, a survey revealed that 49% of teachers who migrated or had intentions to migrate claimed their primary reason was low wages. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Dr. Catherine Troop, provided further details.
A number of international spaces want our teachers. They go to England, they go to Japan, they go to the United States, and sometimes create a crisis for us right here in Jamaica.
Dr. Troop is recommending that teachers' colleges adopt the approach used by Professor Andrew Spencer, president at the Caribbean Maritime University, CMU, which speaks to intentional and international partnerships. She noted that while other institutions are seeing a decline in enrollment, CMU is reporting an increase in admissions.
No, we want our tertiary sector, our teachers' colleges, to look at how we can bring people into Jamaica to benefit from our program of learning so they can build their own skill set and their own people and leave our people alone so we can benefit from them right here.
Dr. Troop believes that once international students are trained here, it could ease the teacher migration problem.
So we want to export the excellence of our teachers' colleges into the global space and see how Jamaica can benefit from that in terms of building the synergies with international colleges and bringing home other programs that we need to modernize our sector that have already been built.
Kimberly Petty, TVJ News.
The search for a 16-year-old Monroe College student ended in tragedy. Kamal Reynolds drowned at a beach in St. Thomas after he and several members of the school's football team went for a swim. The body was retrieved today.
For days, the sea at Chalet Beach in St. Thomas has been battered by strong waves and dangerous currents. According to police reports, it was here that about 6 members of the Monroe College football team came to swim after taking a break from training. TVJ News understands that the team was in St. Thomas attending a football camp in South Haven, Yalas. Police say 16-year-old Kamal Reynolds was pulled out to sea by a strong current. One of his teammates tried to rescue him, but the rough conditions made it impossible. The dangerous sea also forced the rescuers from the St. Thomas Marine Division and the JDF Coast Guard to suspend their search because of deteriorating conditions. On Thursday, after reports that the student's body had been sighted, a resident braved the choppy waters and recovered the body.
I was about to eat my breakfast, but when I got the call, immediately I grabbed the gears and I asked my brother for some of his gears. And, immediately I went and I never hesitated 1 minute because, as a parent, this is very heart-rending. We lose a youngster, somebody who could become somebody useful and worthwhile to society. And, it's one thing to lose a child and another thing to lose the body. They don't even get to pay the last respect.
The teenager's mother later traveled to St. Thomas to identify his body. She was too distraught to speak with our news team. Representatives of Monroe College who accompanied the football team were also at the scene but declined to comment. Questions are now being raised about whether the boys had permission to leave the training camp. Sources tell TVJ News that the students left the camp without the knowledge of the adults supervising the team. Rashida Walker for TVJ News.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade says 2 of 3 Jamaicans in Eswatini say they do not want to return to Jamaica at this time. The 3 Jamaicans were sent to the Kingdom of Eswatini as part of the United States' controversial third country deportation program. The ministry said it made contact with 2 of the men after an initial phone call by one of them and his attorney. The ministry said during the discussion with the men, they were advised of the government's readiness to help them return to Jamaica, but the men maintained they do not want to return. The ministry says it also couldn't determine the immigration status of the men in the USA. As for the third man, efforts are still being made to contact him through Jamaica's High Commission in South Africa. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is encouraging Jamaicans in distress or those who require consular assistance while overseas to contact the nearest Jamaican embassy. Now, still to come this evening, motorists to dig deeper in their pockets to use the North-South Highway. And in business news, major push on the way to increase opportunities for businesses to access government contracts. We'll be right back.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Motorists could soon be paying more to use the Highway 2000 North-South link. The government has published proposed new toll rates that would see motorists traveling the full length of the highway between Caymanas and Oterias, paying $2,610 each way for a Class 1 vehicle, an increase of $115 or 4.6% over the current rate. Now that would bring the cost of a round trip to $5,220. Operators of larger vehicles would face even steeper charges, with Class 3 trucks paying $7,830 one way or $15,660 for a return trip. The proposed increases follow an annual toll adjustment application submitted by the Jamaica North-South Highway Company Limited.
In the meantime, the government is defending the latest toll rate increases, saying they are required under legally binding concession agreements negotiated by the former PNP administration. The Ministry of Energy, Transport and Telecommunications, Daryl Vaz, says the contracts signed with private concessionaires tie annual toll adjustments to changes in the U.S. Consumer Price Index and the Jamaica-U.S. exchange rate, leaving current and future governments bound by those terms. Transport Minister Daryl Vaz says the government is seeking discussions with the concessionaires to arrive at more affordable toll rates. He adds that during negotiations for the Maypen to Williamsfield Highway, the administration secured a lower maximum toll cap and a better revenue sharing arrangement, which it says will provide long-term savings for motorists.
These arrangements and contractual arrangements were made in 2001 and 2012 by a then PNP administration. All governments are bound to these contracts, which ultimately affect the Jamaican people.
An environmental row is brewing between the residents of Rosetta District in St. Anne and the municipal corporation. This after approval was granted for a cell tower to be constructed in the community despite several objections from residents. Kalisha Williams explains.
Hesmin Harris is 90 years old and she already has several health issues to contend with. Now, she said a cell tower construction site close to her home is adding to her misery.
So if they want to find place and put me, I will agree.
She said she's not only concerned about the radiation that may come from the site once the project is completed, but the vibration from the heavy equipment. She pointed to cracks near her window and how she's had to use stones to support it.
Yeah, man, I build it right in. When I talk to the boy with the drive the tractor, he can't tell me saying they go build the weight. He must wait till him build the bed, the wall for me bed.
Miss Harris is among several residents in the community who have voiced their objection to the project. They said their main concern is how the tower will impact their health and the environment. And so they want the project to be cancelled.
I'm very, very upset about it because I recently moved here a couple of years ago. And someone come to my husband and told him to sign a paper towards the cellular site. He said that he's not going to sign something like that, because you know that it is very dangerous.
It's open age and such a lot of sickness going on, much less if the radiation is nearby us. It is not easy to take.
They stopped for a while because other people in the area, neighbors nearby, protest against it too. And they stopped for a while. But recently they start to prepare the place again.
And on top of that, they bemoan the lack of proper consultation with all the residents in the community prior to construction.
One day, I understand that they intend to have a meeting down by the center there. But when I reached down there was nobody there. So I called this neighbor and he came and told me that the meeting put off. So since that, nobody said anything to me.
But CEO of the St. Anne Municipal Corporation, Jennifer Brown Cunningham, said the company responsible for the construction conducted a consultation meeting with several residents in the community on January 29, 2026. She said prior to that, a town crier advertised the meeting over a 2-week period throughout the community. And during the meeting, the company outlined the significance of the cell towers, addressed the concerns residents have regarding the possible health impacts. Once the issues were addressed, the corporation said there were no further objections from the residents, and so the company got the green light to resume construction. Kalisha Williams, TVJ News.
Now, in the final part of our series Ganja Gold, we examine whether Jamaica's ganja industry can deliver on its promise or if inequality will define its future. Yannick Williams has our final part of this special feature.
Finally the herbs come around. The high grade when me a look for me get it by the pound, yeah. Sweet sensei a come around. Me a take a little jar and pass it around, so.
Jamaica has introduced new cannabis permit systems to make it easier for small and traditional ganja farmers to enter the regulated industry. State Minister Delano Sivrite says the changes are intended to reduce barriers such as high licensing costs and strict compliance requirements that have kept many rural farmers out of the legal market. While the industry continues to face challenges, the government says the reforms will expand opportunities.
Put in more of a facilitatory regime for the smaller players, people with up to half an acre of land who want to get into the space. We're reducing the barriers essentially of entry so that it's easier, less expensive, less costly.
Stakeholders agree that the ganja industry holds enormous potential for economic growth, job creation, and global branding. But inclusion remains a central concern.
We're going to have a more efficient identification card process so that people don't have to be going back and forth to get the IDs. That has been a challenge. We're going to extend it from 1 year to 3 years so you don't have to be going back and forth and paying all those fees to get things sorted out. We're going to have a transitional cultivator special permit, so that lowers the barriers of entry. We're going to also allow communities and cooperatives to get involved in the ganja space from a legal level.
But advocates say
some of our decision makers who clearly don't understand the industry also get caught in a kind of paradigm paralysis. What do I mean by that? We still lock ourselves into the thinking that we must use foreign direct investment, export-led strategies to build out every industry.
However, the major challenges affecting the sector includes international restrictions on cannabis, limited access to banking and financing because of U.S. federal laws, competition from the illicit market, and the climate-related risk that threaten cannabis cultivation.
Under the UN Convention and also in U.S. federal law, it has complicated banking across the globe for anybody who is involved in the industry. So people have had their bank accounts closed and they can't get any loans, they can't get any financial services because you are involved in the cannabis space, which is still, from the banking world point of view, a problem, a big no-no. The US president has announced in recent weeks as it relates to reforms at the medicinal, scientific, and research level that he wants the federal administration of the United States to pursue. The hope is that once that is completed, it will start to open up.
For many, the goal is clear: an industry that balances profit with fairness, where small farmers, local entrepreneurs, and investors all have a stake.
Jamaica will benefit because Jamaica has a powerful brand. The industry needs investment, and this is why the banking and the finance piece has to be eased in order to facilitate more investment. And beyond that, our intellectual property as it relates to cannabis is something we have to continue working on. And I think once we get the technical exchanges in place, once things are eased, Jamaica stands to benefit significantly from this industry.
Jamaica helped build the global identity of ganja. But as the industry becomes more structured and more profitable, the risk is that the people who gave it life could be left behind. The question now is whether the billion-dollar industry will uplift the communities or simply enrich a select few. I am Yannick Williams, reporting for TVJ News.
Now, President of the Ganja Growers Association, Maurice Ellis, says police officers need to be schooled on the laws and regulations relating to the ganja trade. He says in recent times, some of his members have been raided by the police, which investigations later revealed were never sanctioned by the police high command.
And further investigations that we've done, we realized that some of the material that have been raided by some members of the JCA, right, end up back on the streets, right? In the illegal trade. In the illegal trade, and that's what's coming out.
Mr. Ellis says his members include sacramental and licensed growers.
As preparations intensify for the staging of Reggae Sumfest in St. Anne this weekend, concerns have already been raised about whether the parish can handle the influx of patrons. But the police say months of planning have gone into ensuring the event runs smoothly. The countdown is on for Reggae Sumfest's debut in St. Anne, marking a historic shift after decades in Montego Bay. But while excitement is building over the new opportunities for St. Anne's economy, old concerns have emerged: traffic congestion, parking, and the movement of patrons to and from the venue. However, the police have sought to assure the public they have it under control.
There are a number of strategies that have been implemented. Some of the ones that have been implemented that were not in place on the last major show is the fact that we now have 2 additional gates, and we now have a park and ride component, which will be on 3 locations, which is the Pearly Beach, the Seville Great House, and there is the Discovery Bay playfield.
It's not the first time the police have made such pronouncements. In previous years, the authorities have faced the heat from frustrated motorists who were forced to endure traffic nightmare due to entertainment events held in the parish. So, what will be done differently? Head of Strategic Operations Assistant Commissioner Gary McKenzie says in addition to the traffic changes, there will be strict enforcement.
The police will be on the roadways. We will be restricting stopping and parking in certain areas that have caused congestion before. Those include at Priory, we will ensure that the roundabouts and the intersections are kept clear. We will not accommodate any parking and stopping to cause obstruction. Neither will we be accommodating any unwarranted overtaking. So it is very important that persons abide by the law, stay in traffic. We will ensure that the traffic flows. Just be a little patient.
For his part, St. Anne's Bay Mayor Michael Belnavis has expressed satisfaction with the level of planning, pointed to numerous meetings with various stakeholders leading up to the event.
The parking lot has been expanded to accommodate up to 30,000 vehicles. So it's significant. This area is zoned as an entertainment zone by Honorable Babsy Grange, and we have concurred with that as a municipal corporation. So the entertainment zone is in place.
Traffic aside, the event is expected to attract thousands of patrons, and so there have been concerns about safety and security. We put the issue to the commanding officer for the St. Anne Police Division, Senior Superintendent Carlos Russell.
And we'll be having police along the main major thoroughfares, as also we'll having our regular patrols in the various communities to ensure the safety of all individuals. So I can give the assurance to all the patrons coming to this show that at the end of the show will be commendation and not condemnation.
With the planning now entering its final stages, stakeholders say the focus is on delivering a safe and well-managed festival, which could pave the way for more major events to call St. Anne home. Coming up in this newscast, hundreds of Canadian wildfires prompt U.S. air quality alerts. We'll be right back.
Every safe summer begins with one decision. The decision to stay close whenever your children are near water, because drowning is silent. It happens in seconds, and constant adult supervision can prevent a tragedy.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Arts and culture on display. The Reggae Therapy Music Festival in Martinique saw approximately 20,000 patrons across 2 days. It's estimated at over $1 million in ticket sales. Ramarda Lyons reports.
A musical ocean floods the field. Thousands of people, all in search of reggae. The melodies and vibrations of reggae led them here. Not Jamaica, this is Martinique. The main language, French. The reggae in French. Language is not a barrier as the love for the genre knows no bounds.
I love reggae music because of the mindset to come with the music and all the spirit from this music and the great musician, especially from Jamaica.
It's a very good way to express myself, to feel good vibration and to be together in this island, in the Caribbean community. Reggae music is so important and we love to share together.
I love reggae music because when I was in the belly of my mom, my dad always listened reggae music. He listened Bob Marley every day.
Speaking of Bob Marley.
When Bob Marley is dead, I cry because I love music, reggae music. I love Sir Rod, I love Bob Marley.
And so reggae lovers trickled in, some hours early, vibing from day to night, old to young, and even younger.
We listen reggae from the beginning, from his birth, so he loves reggae too. The people meet together and the vibe is so nice, so cool, so blessed.
There was an estimated 10,000 patrons for day one. Early flash tickets were €75 for the weekend. Pre-sale tickets, €85. That's approximately $85 and $102 respectively. Now that's estimated at over $850,000 without considering pre-sale and late ticket sales. Big crowd, big earnings. Martinique's Commissioner of Tourism says it's a win for the economy.
It push our economic. We think about tourism, of course, but we think about every kind of push in the economic. So the travel company, so the hotels, every kind of way to visit Martinique.
After he riled up the audience, serious matters.
So we just need to market our music to the world, and we just need to do any little thing what we do to keep it alive and well in the thing. We don't want, more time you see people lack off concert too early and fight again. We just want to support our music.
What more should Jamaica do to keep benefiting and, more importantly, keep earning from reggae? Ramarda Lyons, TVJ News.
So I'll have feedback responses later in this newscast, but right now we're up on a break, and when we come back, we'll have business news as well as international stories. So please stay with us.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is planning to
push is underway to increase opportunities for Jamaica's small businesses to access government contracts. This as efforts continue to operationalize the 20% set-aside program. Deidre Thomas tells us more.
A lot has been said about giving small businesses access to government contracts. Now, a major step forward. The Public Procurement Commission is expected to publish the MSME procurement list by the end of July.
You have been registering for the procurement set-aside. You have been making yourselves known to the government. We want you, when the portal is opened at the end of July 2026, to ensure you check the list to make sure you're on it and that your information is correct.
Speaking at the Small Business Association of Jamaica Growth and Resilience Conference, Finance Minister Favour Williams also announced that the government is expected to roll out guidance notes to procuring entities by the end of August.
And you may be asking, what is a guidance note? Within government, it is an official document issued to ministries, departments, and agencies to explain specific procedures, and in this instance, it will be the procedures to activate the procurement set aside on behalf of the small businesses all across Jamaica.
This development was welcomed by the Small Business Association of Jamaica President Garnet Reid. He says the PPC is now training small business operators to qualify for the 20% government procurement set aside. Mr. Reid also disclosed that the association is exploring other partnerships to strengthen support for growing businesses.
My team is now negotiating with NARA. Yes, that's a very big one. And we would like to see our medium-sized operator to get involved where the rebuilding process is concerned.
Deidre Thomas, TVJ News.
Thanks, Deidre. And staying with small businesses, because the opposition leader Mark Golding is calling for a massive injection of capital to help rebuild small businesses in Western Jamaica. Almost 9 months after Hurricane Melissa, Mr. Golding argues that many businesses are not yet recovered.
I think we really need a kind of Marshall Plan for small businesses in the affected areas of the country, those in the Westmoreland, parts of St. Elizabeth, parts of Hanover, parts of St. James and Trelawney, and even St. Anne, and even parts of Manchester, where businesses, and I'm talking primarily about small businesses, many of whom were uninsured, many of whom have suffered losses to their physical assets and their trading assets, their stock. They need help, and they need it fast.
Mr. Golding, who was speaking at the Small Businesses of Jamaica annual conference on Thursday, acknowledged that the government's aid packages cater to different people, but he says there's no sustained funding for small business operators.
We can't, in a time of depression or contraction or difficulties, challenges, adopt a pro-cyclical approach to economic management. We have to be more creative, we have to be bolder, and while we must, of course, always maintain the targets that we want to meet in terms of debt to GDP ratios and so on, there must be some flexibility in how we approach those in terms of the dates and what have you, because we need to address present problems, and there's serious problems in a real way.
The JSE index declined by 2,624 points today, while the junior market index advanced by 18 points. The winners include Tropical Battery Company, Blue Power Group, AMG Packaging and Paper Company, Caribbean Cream, and Edufocal. The losers include Knutsford Express, Iron Rock Insurance, Qantas Advantage, Margaritaville Turks, and Cygnus Credit Investments, 14 stocks traded firm. At the end of foreign exchange trading, banks and cambios were selling the US dollar for an average $159.30. The Canadian dollar is being sold for $113.63. The pound is going for $213.59, while the euro is selling for an average $181.59. And that's the business news. I'm Dwayne Anderson. Good evening.
The Business Day, brought
Welcome back. In news overseas, more than 800 wildfires are burning across Canada, with air quality alerts now extending south into multiple U.S. states. The air quality in large parts of the northern states of Michigan and Minnesota is deemed hazardous by the U.S. Air Quality Index program, with people recommended to stay indoors. Alerts span the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes region, and into the Northeast, the U.S. National Weather Service, NOAA, said in an update on Thursday. In Canada, one fire in northern Ontario forced residents from local First Nations to evacuate, with one chief saying that her community has been burnt to ashes. There are currently 858 fires actively burning in Canada, including 30 new fires on Thursday.
And the primetime news package continues with sports. With who?
Jermaine Brown, right after this break.